Shields up, Ironbreakers. Rurikhan here, coming at you with another video, and it is my pleasure to announce that we are now 100,000 strong, which is pretty impressive to me. That means that there are 100,000 Ironbreakers out there throughout the world, which is something that is still a little bit baffling to me, that there's that many people that are somewhat interested in the stuff that I produce. I've been producing videos for a little over a decade at this point. I mean, when I began, those videos were extremely different, and I figured that this particular milestone would be a good time to kind of reminisce a little bit and tell you guys about the origins and the main reason why I started actually recording gameplay and commenting on gameplay. So take a trip back with me through memory lane if you're interested. I mean, I'm not going to be giving you any particular tips. There should be some Monster Hunter World footage in the background because I really don't feel like putting my face on camera right now because I'm sick and I don't feel all that well. You guys know what it's like. Your family gets together around Easter and one of them brings the sickness and that spreads to everyone. And now I'm sick. But I wasn't going to let that stop me from doing a video acknowledging that you guys, because this is more of your achievement than necessarily mine. I mean, I'm just creating content. You guys are the ones that are actually watching it. You guys are the ones that are actually engaging in the comment sections, and I enjoy engaging with a lot of you guys, even those of you that sometimes just want to spread negativity and hatred. It's interesting sometimes seeing some of those comments in the comment section as well, but again, I figured I'd reminisce and let me take you guys back about a decade from which was when I originally kind of started creating videos. I was originally recording videos in my car, and you can actually find this if you go to another channel, which is called Gameplay Rurikhan. If you go to that channel and you go to some of the first videos in that channel, you will see a very different Rurikhan, a very different side of me. For those of you that are more curious and maybe even feeling adventurous, you guys might want to check that out. But I started making videos in my car because I was working and I had about a 90-minute commute every single day, and I figured, dude, I get so bored in my car. There's nothing to do while you're just driving home. I could probably record videos while I do this, and there's some pretty weird videos in there. As a matter of fact, not so long ago, some people showed, some of my friends, they showed some of those videos in this place that I was speaking about, video games, and they showed some of those videos, and I was like, oh wow, those things are still up there, huh? That's pretty impressive. But anyway, as I was saying, it's like I was in my car and there was nothing to do, so I would record videos and then I would upload them. And these would be like some really mad ramblings of me talking about World of Warcraft. And that's kind of how it all began, because I was pretty much a World of Warcraft addict. I think a lot of people were back in those days. I would raid and I would do all of the crazy stuff that people would do in World of Warcraft. And I was a tank. I mean, which kind of makes sense because I like tanking, I like shields, I like that whole mythos of someone just like sitting there, taking a beating behind a shield and then kind of coming back for it. It's almost the underdog mentality. But I would do those videos talking about World of Warcraft, and then eventually I figured, you know, I'll record some World of Warcraft gameplay. And the first video that I ever did of World of Warcraft, at least the first video that I think I did, where I was doing live commentary, because I did, you know, like montage videos with music. Everybody was doing that back in the day. But eventually I actually did like a video with me commentating on it. And the reason I did that particular video was actually interesting because I was playing World of Warcraft as a tank, right? And so eventually I wanted to like, oh, I feel like doing some DPS right now, just for fun, just for a little bit of a switch of pace. So I was used to the group finder, right? And it was super easy. If you were a tank, you would just go into the group finder, be like, Q is tank, instant. When I started playing at DPS, I noticed, oh, when you're DPS, it's not that fast. And I started going through forums and people were like, oh, nobody wants the responsibility to tank. Nobody wants to actually tank for a group. And I was like, but why? It's not hard. It's easy. And people were saying, oh, but the responsibility of tanking. And I'm like, responsibility? The responsibility of the tank? I run into monsters and I press buttons and basically I can die at any second. I don't think that's that much responsibility. I just run into things and I spam my buttons, and that's what tanking was back in the day. And I figured I would do a video teaching people kind of how to tank, like letting them know, oh, here's how you do it as a warrior, and here's how you would do this. And that was actually a video that got quite a lot of traction, which for me was really impressive. I think my channel had like somewhere in the vicinity of like 3,000 subscribers or something. The other channel, not this one. And that particular video ended up reaching over 200,000 views, which was weird because the quality of that video was actually really, really bad. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was bad, but the whole intent was me actually trying to explain people how to tank. And eventually, I started doing it for other classes of tanking because I like tanking so much. Then I started tanking with the Death Knight, started tanking with Paladin. I didn't tank as a bear because I didn't like the concept of druid tanking. And I know some druids are going to come in here, why don't you like druids? What's wrong with you? But I didn't like the concept of looking at a bare ass the entire time while I was tanking. I liked my character to like actually get pieces of armor and stuff. And back in the day, there was no customization for bear tanks. It's just like, no, you just look like a bear. Good luck. And so yeah, I did a lot of videos teaching people how to tank. And then eventually I had to swap channels and stuff, and I figured I would start with something that was more interesting to me at the time because I kind of lost my steam for World of Warcraft. And I started playing Dark Souls, and I did a lot of Dark Souls videos. And that's kind of how my second channel began, which is the channel that we're on right now. And I did a lot of Dark Souls content, then I did a lot of RPG content, then I did a lot of other things to a point where I do a lot of variety in this channel. You guys have noticed, for sure, because I do a lot of stuff. Or maybe you guys haven't noticed, because YouTube doesn't generally notify everybody. I mean, they finally admitted that they don't do it, even though I've known that for a while. But anyway, I ended up doing a lot of different content. And it's interesting to come full circle when Monster Hunter World came out. Because when Monster Hunter World was originally announced at E3, I was just like, oh my god! Oh my god, this is the Monster Hunter that I've always wanted. Because if you guys go back a couple of years, you might find a couple of videos where I was just like saying, Capcom, give us Monster Hunter on a regular console. I don't want to play Monster Hunter on the 3DS. I want to play it on a big boy console with a big boy controller, so that, because you know there's the claw on the PlayStation Portable. Then there was the 3DS version with a little nub and to me, I always struggled with that stuff because I always wanted to play it on a big screen TV. So when the game finally came out, it was interesting because I say this a lot, and a lot of people probably don't believe me, but I've been waiting for Monster Hunter World for a longer time than the game has been in development, because the game was developed in the past 4 years or so, and I've been waiting for Monster Hunter like that for longer. But it's interesting to see the content that I'm working on right now, because it's very similar to the content that I was doing back then. Because the reason why the channel has grown so much in the past couple of months is because I was doing essentially, it's not, I don't like calling them guides. It's more like tips videos where I just give people tips on how they can perform better in Monster Hunter World. And that's just, I think that's just like my natural thing, trying to help people out, trying to get them to have more fun with their video games, and hopefully showing them something funny along the way. And that's just kind of the way that things have evolved. And some of you guys might be wondering, so what's next? And I mean, I've been doing a lot of different builds for Monster Hunter World. That is something that I want to keep doing because the game just nets itself so well to doing different builds, more so in my opinion than Dark Souls. Because I mean, I really like doing builds in Dark Souls, but ultimately every time that I would do a build in Dark Souls, it was a huge time investment, because I don't use like save file editors or anything like that, or I don't take shortcuts. So whenever I would create a character, I would go and play through the entirety of the game over and over, and that is a huge time commitment. Now I would do Let's Plays and stuff like that. But in Monster Hunter World, I just go in and I start looking at the different skills that are available. I'm like, okay, so if I put this armor piece here and that piece there, it's almost like playing Tetris, but with skills, you know? And I don't mean like skill Tetris. I mean like Tetris with Monster Hunter World skills. Like, oh, I can put 2 more points here, 1 more point there, and that to me is very interesting. That's the type of content that I'm always going to enjoy, and I'm going to be doing that all throughout when the PC version comes out, for sure. I'm probably going to be redoing some of my tips videos because I've learned so much more since some of those videos have came out as well. But that is definitely something that we're going to keep doing. But the other thing that I want to do is there's a couple of things. Because like in the past, I focused pretty much on everything. And I ended up spreading myself way too thin. To the point where a lot of people don't even find some of those things that interesting. And this time I want to be a little bit more focused moving forward. So something that I definitely want to do is I want to do some basic tips videos about Dark Souls for all the newcomers that will pop into Dark Souls once it releases with a remastered version. That is definitely something that I want to be working on, particularly for all the Nintendo people, because there's going to be a lot of Nintendo fans that are going to be exposed to Dark Souls for the very first time. And I think it's interesting, and I want to make sure that the community at large doesn't take that elitist approach, because that's something that I never really like to do. I always like to try and engage people kind of like on a one... It's not really a one-by-one, a one-to-one basis, but I like to tailor my videos almost as if it was on a one-to-one basis. As a lot of times, you guys might even notice that I ask myself questions that I think people will be asking themselves when they see certain things that I'm doing on videos. That's just like something that happens to me naturally. But again, I want to make sure that the communities for the video games that I'm particularly interested in, I want to make sure that those communities become more inclusive. That's essentially what the basis of an Ironbreaker is. It is someone who is either somewhat good at a video game, or maybe he's not even that good, maybe he's just like average, but it is someone that wants to help. It is someone that wants to be positive. It is someone that wants to be a shield and show people that there's more to the community of challenging video games than elitist assholes. And we know that there's a lot of elitist assholes out there. And that's kind of what I want the Ironbreakers to be. I want us to be a shield to protect people that are newcomers, because ultimately, I think what the elitist assholes out there don't understand is that if everyone in a gaming community becomes an elitist idiot, what happens is that community kind of closes down because it's not inclusive. And I want the communities to be inclusive. I want the Dark Souls community to be inclusive. I want the Monster Hunter community to be super inclusive. And let me tell you, I've been super surprised because the Monster Hunter community has gone above and beyond. Like, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about like the community at large has been fantastic, I think, in welcoming new players. And that's what I want for games that I'm interested in. Another game that I'm super interested in, but people don't seem to respond as well to, as for instance Elite Dangerous, because it's extremely, it's a game that is, it seems very impenetrable, but there's just so much satisfaction once you actually get past that initial period of learning. That's another game that I kind of want to challenge myself to teach people a little bit more about. And there's more titles that are coming that I want to cover in great detail. Like, for instance, there's Code Vein. Code Vein, I kind of feel like is going to be an interesting opportunity for all the Souls fans, and not just Souls fans, but you know, there's a lot of video games that I still want to cover on the channel this year. There's a lot of interesting stuff coming down the pipeline, but again, the focus moving forward is going to be more focus and less like, oh, I'm just going to do a full series on this weird thing. There's going to be less of that, and there's going to be more me focusing on stuff, and that's also why I created that whole thing with Should You Play, which is where I kind of give you my opinion on games that maybe you don't know if you're interested in or not, and you know my biases already, so that's kind of like you get a baseline. And yeah, I guess I've rambled on a little bit here because I'm still under the effect of medication right now, so so I might have been rambling. My thoughts might have been a little bit confusing, but basically, I guess I wanted to thank all of you for being so supportive. Whether you're on the channel, whether you're on the live streams, I just really appreciate all of you. You guys have been amazing. Hopefully we can continue this strange trip that we're on right now and continue just having fun. Just everybody have fun. Everybody help each other out. Remember, Ironbreakers are here to help. We're not here to be elitists. We're not here to be to push people away from our video games. We're here to help them. We're here to bring them in. Doesn't matter what someone's skill level is. I don't care if someone just picked up a controller today. That doesn't make a difference to me. If they've never played a video game in their whole life and they pick up a controller today, we're here to help you, okay? Because it's better that you pick a controller than you pick your goddamn phone and play some ridiculous thing that is just not good for you. You know, because some people might think that that's a bit of how should I put it? It's a bit controversial what I just said previously, that I want to be inclusive, and at the same time I'm criticizing some of the mobile games, but that's because there's a lot of trash out there that kind of preys on people, and it's actually coming into regular video games as well. And I would rather people pick up a controller and play a real game, even if you think that, oh, but this game's so hard, I can't understand it. That's what the Ironbreakers are here for. We'll help you. We will help you get through anything that you need. Thank you guys very much for being awesome. Keep on being awesome. And let's have some fun along the way.